Hello, 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 Crossroads, witches and other interesting magical beings. Uh, I always say it, always mean it. I'm happy to be here, and especially when I get to talk about Hecate, both are correct. And so I brought one of our House of Witchcraft and a witch who does her own thing. You can check her out on the season of Anya to come and sit and talk with me about this. Because as well, I'm not going to say like we're hardcore devotees, but we like Hecate. And so, hello, Anya.
Hi, Taryn. Happy to be back on the channel.
And so, do you want to give a little intro, your discussion, thoughts, your relationship, I guess, with Hecate before we start talking about things that we know that some folks may not?
Ooh, okay, perfect. Actually, yes, I would love to share that. So, my journey with Hecate, as I've always referred to her as Hecate, honestly started with you back at the cottage. She was a deity I'd always heard about and didn't really know much about. And honestly, through the years of just kind of sitting with a bunch of happy dark witches and celebrating her feast days throughout the years here in San Diego, understanding who Hecate is and what she's about, I'm like, hey, you know what? I need to actually dive deep. She always was I feel like when working with deities, they, even if you are going to their feast, and even if you're going to the event, they come to you when you need them. Hecate had always been one of those deities that was just always sitting in like the back corner, especially with our group, right? Hecate, I feel like, especially when we were at the cottage, we had a lot of priestesses of Hecate, devotees of Hecate, and we definitely observed her. But I was always kind of like, I like her, but I don't need her.
Right,
Um,
right.
in a sense, like I know she's there for me. She's definitely one of, the first couple deities that I've truly felt and like, oh, I'm in Hecate energy, I'm in the vibe, whatever you want to call it. But now as I've been kind of having a little bit more of a solitary heavy practice, I have been like, okay, what's up with Hecate? What is her thing? And for me, my relationship with her has really developed, I'd say, like on a personal note over the past like year and a half or so, where I'm realizing it's nice to have a deity. It's nice to have a goddess who embodies all three aspects of, mother, maiden, crone. And also understanding what it really means working with a dark goddess. I do work with dark goddesses, but she is one that is known for being a dark goddess, right? And she's with that, she's allowed me not only to find comfort in the dark, but in my own personal journey, really connect with what it means to be a crone. Because I think, just in general, as spiritual, magical beings, it's important to know your past, but in a sense, know your future so you can connect better with those around you who may be in that phase of their life. So she's been really helpful with me in my journey of womanhood, connecting with uncomfortable things, with family, honestly, as well, which is not necessarily what she is known for. But her aspect has really helped me in many aspects of my life.
Next time I'm going to say 5 words or less.
And here I thought I wasn't saying enough.
Actually, I am really happy that you did give us some depth on your own personal journey. You brought up a couple things. I love the fact that, for you, it's with a modern interpretation of how you relate to Hecate. And I thought that was like, that is really cool because we're going to talk about 5 lesser known and I also think interesting facts about Hecate that somehow we start thinning down the tail and we need to keep its richness. And so with that, you view her as a dark goddess. I'm going to make you do number one.
Perfect, which I think, yeah, leads perfectly into point number one. Her Hecate was originally a goddess of prosperity and blessing, and not just a fearful, if you will, dark goddess.
Right. She was not viewed, and they didn't have dark goddesses back then either. There wasn't like a categorization. But she was not the dark goddess, the of the dead image that we have of her. Uh, Hisad's what is it? Theogony, Theogony. Am I saying it right?
Theogony, perhaps?
Theogony and Hasad's, I know I'm saying Hasad's name. Hasad's one of the oldest known poets within Greek uh, poetry that we have when we talk where do we get our sources from. This is one of the earliest known writings of Hecate, and what we're finding in his poetry is that she was considered to be very uplifting, the giver of wealth, of victory, and good fortune. Do you want
Yeah,
to
right.
add?
Yes, I was gonna say she exactly. She was a blesser of babies, watched over livestock, she protected homes as well. The dark goddess archetype came later, and I think that's really a good point to understand that you
She
can be
could be
both.
both. And that's what we're going to discuss as we go through this list. All right. Is this the idea that you have to either or I can, or like you were, hey, I have a relationship with Hecate, but I also have an open relationship, and I have relationships with all these other ones too. You do not have to, you can have a relationship with lots of deities or with one. You choose, or they choose, or however you want to go there. But now we just talked about Greek. And we have to understand that she came pre-Greek.
Point number two.
Point number two, her worship begins outside of Greece. I know that it seems like a lot of information out there. The very Hellenic view of Hecate is a Greek view of Hecate. There is a pre-Hecate that a lot of times it seems gets lost, and that's actually because we have fragmented information, uh, where there's a lot that we don't know. We do know at this time that she had a temple, where, uh, uh, where we say modern day Turkey is where the region we're talking today, and they've just recently unearthed it. But they had a big temple, they had a party.
And they like to party.
Right. And this is where when we talk, they had music, they had processions, they had public feasting. This wasn't like where we think of her as the goddess of the witches, where we're, out doing secret rites of Hecate. Those were not what was happening. You know, it was a whole different goddess of the light vibe going on here. You know, and during this time period, we're going to see our statuary, our iconography is going to be more of a mother type iconography, meaning what our statues look like. All right. We're at this point, we're seeing more mother. We hadn't got into later on transformations of her. Is there anything you want to add?
No, I think saving that for a later point is perfect.
Did
Because
I
yeah,
miss? Oh
exact.
no, I missed that. It was also during this time that she really wasn't a crossroads guardian spirit type. She was a protector at the crossroads, but she was actually more of a city household doorway goddess.
Yes, correct. Which is technically point number five. So we're going off script a little bit, but I love it.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
here
Well,
for
I'll be
it.
quiet then. Shh, be quiet. Y'all didn't hear that.
That didn't exist yet, but I love this energy for us.
I'll be quiet and let you go on. Number
You know,
three.
we're official here, okay? Because you just because you can be both doesn't mean you can't be official.
Right. You can do it all.
So there's your little teaser. Watch to the end, people. With that said, number three, Hecate's sacred animals are not limited to dogs. I thought this was very interesting because you just think, the wolf, the dog, I don't know, the coyote, depending on where you live. All those wolf archetypes are so synonymous with her. She actually was, I mean, we know she's typically associated with snakes as well, but also she was associated with frogs, owls, fish and eel, which I'm like, okay, that makes sense. That's definitely, I feel like that Mediterranean, flair she had, especially with like her Turkish and Greek roots. But still, all of these animals do represent transformation, wisdom, and boundaries between worlds.
I know you're such a valid point with there's often, oh, she likes dogs. Nobody ever says, oh, she likes eels.
There's nothing really sexy about
All
that in the when you're like,
right. She likes frogs.
all right, you want to see my frogs, my pet frogs? Like,
Yeah, everybody's like, I have black dogs, and I'm like, where's your
right.
frogs? Where's the eels? You know, um,
But that adds to her duality, where again, I feel like we are probably going to circle back to this point frequently, is that yes, you can be both. And like, yes, just because, snakes tend to have like, black dogs, snakes tend to have this darker energy, frogs offer their own energy. And that just is further proof that she's not just dark goddess,
right. And I
intense.
think that that's something that's a more, and well, as she's revealed herself differently through the millennia, you know, where, you're going back several thousands of years. When we talk about these pre-times, we're talking about, remember when it was old, what was old then, and it's older, older, older. Uh,
True.
you know, uh, we can't really conceive when we start talking, these 4,000, 5,000, 10, 20,000 years ago, uh, with how the concept of spirituality slowly morphed into our first, for us within Western culture, the first religion, which that Greek, and then into the Roman, into monotheism, monotheistic religions. Um, but this was thousands of years, and Hecate was part of each of these different millennia, which I think is so, oh, I love it. It just gives me goosebumps when I think about it. And I'm going to talk about that with number three, because you had brought up the Maiden Mother Crown, and which is a modern interpretation in the 20th century created by Gerald Gardner and Wicca. Not wrong, just new. All
Which is in
right,
our next video, by the way, little teaser trailer
just
for that.
new. The
Yep.
actual beginning of the triple image um iconography statuary of Hecate in the temple was done in three because it was a practical temple design. That's it. The
I
same
love
way you go
practicality.
into Apollo's temple, you will see a three Apollo around, all right, the column, so that as you're walking, All right. It was a practical design. It was a way for them to do it. There was no context of a triple goddess. It was just straight temple design. All right. But this is leaning in when we first see this representation is later on. All right, where we're seeing the Romans have embraced Hecate. The Greeks did not do the triple, the Romans did. And then in the 20th century, Gerald Gardner saw some of the pictures, got to go to the temple, saw it, and said, oh my God, she's a triple goddess. She's a maiden mother crone. And again, I want to really get into this because a lot of times you're like, oh, that's not true. She's not a triple goddess. Well, bitch, she is now.
But also, doesn't that like add again to the richness, to her depth? Because especially talking about the triple goddess, I feel like there aren't, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but there aren't many goddesses that I know of that are super common in this day and age that have the triple goddess aspect. And what a great way to have like this dark goddess in all three aspects of life, because anyone in any phase can relate to her.
The maiden mother crone is a beautiful, divine, feminine, modern representation that has helped so many folks. And that's it. It's a
Yeah.
good, positive way to connect to the divine feminine. I
Yeah.
joke a lot of time. It's no different than the only reason grandma didn't use tinfoil is because it wasn't an option.
Right.
It's a new way of doing it, a new way of interpreting. And I also think when you talk with other folks within the maiden mother crone concept, and each one is a particular goddess. Like Hecate, I think, is the crone. What is it? Diana, or not Diana? One's Persephone is the maiden.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not Wiccan.
Diana's the mother, I believe,
I'm
right?
not sure you're out. This is, I can tell you so many things. And then when you ask me this, I'm like, I don't know. And I know one of y'all down there can leave some comments. And so the rest of y'all go read those comments because those folks know. But the Maiden Mother Crone has multiple different ways of interpreting and perceiving it. And again, they're all correct. There isn't this one, this only. We do not relate to Hecate the way the Anatolians did. The earliest of the early, they lived a different life. They didn't have cell phones. We do
We aren't
not,
traveling.
yeah,
Yes, we aren't traveling those crossroads where it's like, okay, let's pull out, I don't know, a hand-drawn map. We have GPS. They're not as
they're
prevalent.
different. The way the Greeks related to her, the way she related to them was different. With the Romans, when we get into those areas of medieval time period, then later on in the Romanticism, where we do see, and her revival, and which we will talk about in the next video, because Anya and I are going to go back and go into depth on the actual history, because her history is so amazingly multifaceted. Is that the right phrase?
That is the perfect phrase.
And she's supposed to be all of those. I think we have some folks who are like peering through one little colored piece of glass. This is all of Hecate, not realizing this is all of Hecate.
Well, and to that point too, again, it just reinforces the fact that like why put something in a box? I feel like if anything, because all I had really seen from her was this dark goddess, as somebody who was like especially newer on my witchcraft journey, was like, well, I don't really know if I'm called to that. I mean, and even throughout the years understanding, dark what a dark goddess is, what it means. It's just like, but why? But then realizing like, yeah, there's so much.
Good marketing.
Right, she's the goth witch. I mean, let's keep it real. She's a goth witch. We can make this so goth and so hot. Like if we're really right. But like again, we're like, frog, yeah, that's not we're gonna cut that out. Let's do snakes and like black dogs. Not a bright dog, but a black dog,
And with
Just
that,
for
I was
Yeah,
just saying,
actually, yes. Is number five, baby. Hecate was invoked in doorways as much as the crossroads. A lot of times, especially in the Greek homes, right? Offerings were left near the front door. They were, mostly again to bless the household, for blessings, for prosperity, for welcoming her in, just in general. This is such a beautiful energy, beautiful entity, whatever. We want her in our lives in all aspects of our lives, not just this. To keep sickness away, to protect against wandering spirits. That is important, as we know. When folks say she's the keeper of keys, they're talking about your doorstep just as much as the gates of spirit world
right. A lot of
everywhere.
times we think spiritual, but reality for this time period, because you're talking right at the beginning of that time between the Greek and the Roman, the Greco-Roman time period. During this time, she was actually more involved in doorways than she was at crossroads. That particular had waned. It had not never disappeared. Her torch never went out, but she was more invoked in doorways, and that's when she became the keeper of the keys. And those keys, as you pointed out, you just said the liminality added to her liminality, and I think that opened up right there the beginning of her becoming a dark goddess.
Ooh,
I think what
I
you're
can,
seeing, yeah, you get where I'm going, where
yeah,
this is where we're starting to see her slowly changing. And I think she's changing to meet the times. She's changing to be relatable. I mean, the modern Hecate that we love, who's given us comfort, strength, who for many of us, especially when you talk to true devotees and priestesses of Hecate, our priest, I'm not, um,
right.
of Hecate, this has uplifted, enriched their lives. It's given them a sense of fulfillment. I mean, I've sat and talked with a couple of these people, and they're like just beautiful, sparky energy. There's nothing dark about them. I know we joke about the fact she's the perfect goth, goddess. And I think even if you talk with a goth that has a relationship with her, there's this light, bright sparkiness around them.
Absolutely. And then even back to that point with like the home, right? The home is a very sacred, happy, at least that's what we strive for, whether or not there may be darkness in that, typically we associate the home with happiness, with health, with wealth, whatever that means to you. These are all good, these are happy things.
And I think we also need to give deity the same that we give ourselves. We often talk about our own evolution, our own change. We get in our own lifetime. Who you were in your 20s is not who you are today.
Right.
All right. Who I was in my 20s is not who I am today. Who I was in my 40s is not who I am today.
Who I was yesterday sometimes is not who I am today, for being
Right.
honest.
But you understand what I'm saying? You change, you evolve. We all know that. We grow. Hopefully, for most of us, we get a little wiser. Um, but we grow, we change. And I think that we have to understand that that happens to deities as well, and to allow it. It's not about us trying to worship a Hecate the way the Greeks did. We're not Greek. We're not standing on the Greek islands. We're not standing at that temple. I'm standing on this dirt trying to have a relationship with her. I'm an American. I don't speak Greek. I don't speak Latin. I don't speak Hebrew. I don't speak Arabic. I mean, I have a whole.
What do you speak? Just kidding.
I'm a product of America, but but and that doesn't stop me though from having a relationship with her. It's about bringing authenticity and sincerity to her altar, or at least that's my personal. what I've learned over the years when people, feel like they have to do it the way the Greeks do it. I'm going to learn this prayer in Latin and things like that. I'm like, if you're really called to do it and that's meaningful to you, more respect. But it's not a requirement.
It's not a requirement, and it goes back to sincerity because at the same time, focusing so much on the details, especially, I mean, this is a whole other
Ooh,
video, but focusing so much on this is the way it was done, these are the rules, these are the laws. I can't work with this deity because I don't have X, Y, and Z, you know, that's you're gatekeeping yourself from maybe something that you need in your
ooh.
life.
Isn't that dropping some wisdom right there? That is so true. And I think that a lot of times we think the relationship somehow needs to be complex and that we're not worthy. And if you can get
Ooh.
over those two things, all right, it ain't that hard. Simplicity, heck, just light a candle, leave a little offering plate,
You got to start
whatever's
somewhere.
little. You don't have to go there. All right. And that right now, you have everything you need. You are worthy. You know, if Hecate in any way is whispering to you, light a candle. And it may be awkward the first time. It's probably going to be real awkward, to be honest.
It
Nobody's
always is.
doing
It
it.
always is.
Don't be thinking it's like the movies.
I know.
And
No.
then the lights change.
I've been touched. I felt, ideally, that's the goal. That's what we're striving for. I mean, it happens
It will
occasionally.
eventually. It will happen. I promise you. You're gonna get those goosey bumps. But
Yes.
initially, you're still learning, finding your way. You're making a relationship. It's like you done showed up for a date the first time. You're just trying to figure out who and what. Light the damn candle. Leave a small offering. Maybe say a couple of words if you're inclined. Keep it as simple as it needs to be. We were talking, the Feast of Hecate for many of us is a big woo. I know we've got the committee going on.
Yeah, as we speak, there's a committee for the
There's a
house.
committee meeting for the house, and then we've also got it here at the barn in person as well. We've got the feast night
Oh,
going on. We're just doing some artwork. We're going to have fun, creative night. Again, we're not. It's really about bringing folks together, and we've pulled some different cool stuff like what we're doing right now. We'll talk about this, the 5 interesting things about it. We're going to talk a little bit about our history. We're just going to spend time in the presence of Hecate. That's it. We're all bringing a little bit of food, and we're going to do us an arts and craftsy thing.
well, and then that's it. It's
That's it.
again to really simplify. It's just taking, and again, as somebody who starts on their spiritual journey, on their spiritual practice, it's taking just that 10-15 seconds of intention. I mean, if we're really breaking it down, where it's like I just got to start 10-15 seconds of shutting off all distraction, just being like, okay, Hecate, guide me. Even if that's literally all you can say, like, I don't know, Hecate, guide me, please. Like, I'm called to you for a reason, again, with sincerity, of course, but just opening, it's amazing what will come through.
I think it's true of all
Yes,
deities, all
yes, yes, yes.
all archetypes, all energetic forms, is people overcomplicate it and feel they're not worthy. Two things that everybody suffers from. I mean, I think all of us. I mean, I know as a young witch, a long time ago, I my brain was sparky and I went places, and I also had that imposter syndrome, that sense of doubt, and then sitting there thinking, what the hell am I doing? I had all sorts of thoughts in my head of, why not to do it. And slowly over time, I learn better. I do better. Now I don't even think about it. But it didn't happen overnight.
No.
You start out those first couple of times almost feeling foolish. And
first dozen times. I
and
mean,
that's
really.
okay. Just keep working it, keep showing up.
Yes, yes.
Those you work those magic Fibonacci numbers, 3, 7, 21.
There you go.
Where show up 3 times, show up 7 times, show up 21 times. It is gonna be different as you're hitting these points.
But
But you
hit
got to
them.
show up. I love it.
Yes.
Oh, I tried paying to Hecate, then find out that they did it once, half-ass, and are like, and you're like, okay, it doesn't work like that.
My gosh. I mean, just
You
even,
know,
going back to cottage era, trying to get a group of us to like not talk for 30 seconds was kind of a miracle, and within your own practice, same thing. And that's people who are at least like we were a little, varying levels, but seasoned, still trying to just, okay, group energy focus. Doing this on your own is not easy. And it doesn't, especially if you come from, depending on what backgrounds you come from, if you're not a witch or now becoming a witch, and you're like, is this right? Is this, yeah. I mean, it takes a while to truly be able to open up your energy and just be like, hey, I'm here and I'm vulnerable.
ooh, really good word. I like that. With that, we're going to end this, which is an interesting magical beings. Before we start talking about other interesting things that we know, because Anya and I are sitting on some notes. One of my favorite things to have.
Yes.
On a much more in-depth history of Hecate, and we hope you join us. You will find in the links below when you look in my description box there. First of all, you'll see the buy me a cup of coffee if you'd like to contribute one time to the channel. Love to have you do that. Of course, love to have you join 13 Moons. And even more importantly, what I'd really like y'all to do is press that link for the season of Anya, where you will find us with another video on her platform where we're going to go more in depth to it. We're also going to support Anya. She is one of our house folks who's a content creator and a dear personal friend of mine. And the opportunity to give a shout out and support others in our community. That's what it's about. And so I really encourage all of you to go support. Like I said, we'll make sure the links are below. Dana will put them there. I don't know how to put them there. Uh, it's amazing that as much as I get on social media platforms that I'm sitting there going, I don't know how to do that. Nor do I really want to know. That's part of the problem. But Anya, I will see you on your channel where we're going to talk more about Hecate. And
Yes.
thank you so much for joining me here on my channel. And like I said, I know all of these folks here are wishing you nothing but goodness. And with that said, which is an interesting folks, of course, I'm going to say it. Get out there, fly those brooms, as always. Have a bright, shiny day. And of course, amen. Blessed
Men
be
be
Ashe
Shay and
and a
Avo.
bo.
I've been wanting to say that all week.
Good for you. Somebody's got to do it.